Help you get ready for your test tomorrow. Our test is going to be all about fractions, decimals, and percents. This is something some of you guys are getting, some of you are still having a tough time. So what I've done is I've written a lot of stuff on the board. I want you to copy all of this down. I want you to really think about writing a lot of this down on the day of your test. It's going to help you because you're still forgetting some of these basic rules. So our first rule here says decimal to fraction. When we're looking at a decimal to a fraction, we take the number, we put it over the place value, and then we simplify it. So my example is 4/10. 4/10, the place value is the tenths place. So I take the 4 and I put it over a 10 because it's the tenths place, and then I simplify it. I can divide them both by 2 and I get 2/5. When I'm going from a fraction into a decimal, I can either divide it or I can make the denominator into a 10, 100, or 1,000. So I have an example here doing it both ways. With 2/5, remember we talked about our diving board fractions. We dive the 2 into the pool. The 5 stands on the outside. So you end up with 2 divided by 5. I can't divide the 2 by the 5, so I add a decimal and a 0, and it looks like a 20 now, and 5 goes into 24 times. So I get an answer of 4/10. If I don't want to divide and it's a number that is compatible with 10, 100, or 1,000, then I can make that bottom number into one of those other numbers. The 5 can easily be made into a 10. 5 times 2 is 10, and 2 times 2 is 4. So I can go ahead and do that, and I end up with 4/10. So then I just take it and put it into my decimal form of 4/10, which is kind of where we started this from. All right, so I just want to make sure you're writing all of this down. This is a really good place to pause if you need to stop and write it down. Make sure you're writing all this part down too, because this is the part you need to know. Now I'm going to tell you, if you have a number like 8, 8 is not going to be able to easily be made into 10 or 100. You can make it into 1,000, but that's a really big number. Something like that, you're probably going to want to divide. Remember, you always divide the numerator by the denominator. Okay, our next one is going from a percent to a decimal. When I have a percent and I'm moving it to a decimal, and I wrote it down here backwards on the board, so let me fix it for you just a second. Okay, I think I've got that fixed for you now. I wrote it, the words right, but I wrote the numbers down wrong. So percent to a decimal. Remember, this is our mustache, and our mustache, when we're going from a percent to a decimal, we're always going to be moving it to the left. So here we've got our mustache, and we have our arrow going to the left side. So here's our 40%. We're going from a percent to a decimal. So we're starting here on the 40. Since it's a 40, it would be a whole number. The decimal would be here. And we're moving it over 2 places to the left. When we do the decimal, it ends up right here. And so we write that as decimal 4. So percentage to a decimal, we're taking our mustache and we're going to the left. When we're doing a decimal to a percent, it's a mustache, but now we're going to the right. So here's my decimal of 4/10. I start my mustache at that decimal. I go over 2 places. I use a 0 to fill in the empty spot, and I end up with 40%. So guys, this is everything you need to know for your test. If you have not written it down, go ahead and get all of that copied down. If you need to listen to it more than once, listen to it more than once. You guys are getting better at this all the time. We've been doing 2 weeks of this. But make sure you get it going, because you got 10 questions on your test. Each question's worth 10 points. Do a good job. Take your time. Think about it. Actually do your work. Don't just guess.